Razmjera, ekološka revolucija ili vandalizam?
So I will come back to the last idea which we had, and it was tree plantings. I've chosen this provocative title, but I really mean it, because tree plantings can be used and can be misused. And I'll just try to show you the situation which is now in the Czech Republic, just to give you, let's say, some idea how to do that and how not to do that. Tree plantings are really important. It's an essential part of our industry, and of course we are responsible for bringing trees into, let's say, the future to change the climates in the cities and in the country for our children and grandchildren. And maybe this is the strongest idea, because we are not dealing with us. We don't plant trees for us. With the public, planting of trees is very popular. You can explain to anyone, okay, if you plant trees, you will make the difference. It's lots of activities, lots of enthusiasts who are just planting trees everywhere. But again, the tree plantings can be really taken wrongly. You see the prime ministers, you see the presidents, you see the queens, everyone is planting trees. Even the Taliban urges plant trees. So one would ask, okay, and what could go wrong? Just everyone is planting trees. The problem is that we need to plant the trees sustainably. We can't do PR events from planting trees. We are creating tree population, which can't have steep steps. The population must just flow. So if we create situation which, for example, now is in Czech Republic, when government, private investors, everyone is planting trees, we will create situation which in future will bring huge problems. For your idea, the capital of Czech Republic, Prague, promised to plant 1 million new trees. Prague has 1 million inhabitants, plus minus something, a bit more. And this is something which is completely unreasonable, because for certain parts it would mean to double the current tree population in, let's say, 5 years, which is plus minus impossible from practical reasons. And even if we succeed in planting these trees, we have no resources, not the people to really brought them through the acclimatization process and to maintain them for future. Even the basic idea that trees are fighting the climate change, that they are absorbing the CO2 and these ideas is proven now. It's not true. Because if you plant trees, the process of planting and creating the tree really has its CO2 footprint. So the tree being planted is in minus. And the research has shown that the newly planted trees needs at least 20, 30 trees to get to the zero point, to replace its own CO2 carbon footprint. So again, if we want to fight the climate change with tree plantings, we maybe will do the change in the future of 30 trees, but definitely not now, 30 years. Even this, public relation stuff which is going around the tree plantings turns against the basic logic, because supporting heavily tree plantings means that you need more people, but people don't know how to plant trees. So in our setup, it turned out into a situation where when everyone with the spade and goodwill will get the support from the government to plant trees, but the results are quite often pretty terrible. We are able, plus minus, to get the trees through first year. So plant them like to survive the first season. But it again has been proved by research that more than 60% trees will not survive 20 years. And I think this statistic is still pretty optimistic. So again, the tree plantings as we do them now in huge amounts are not the way to go forward. If we speak about trees in streets, so in the most extreme, let's say, areas of our cities, the lifespan of those trees is plus minus between 20, 30 and 50 years max. And it's not only due to the restricted growing conditions, but mostly in a combination with the building activities, because underground we've got lots of infrastructure which has limited lifespan as well. So if we say that in one city or in one street in our city is something like 20 different cables and infrastructures underground with the life of 20 years, it means that every year one will break and needs to be replaced. And this is influence on trees, which is really crucial and hardly to be managed generally. I really like the activity of Arboriculture Association, which stopped using the term tree planting like a technology. It's just wrong. The correct term is tree establishment, which not only includes the tree planting, but the, let's say, 3-5 years of aftercare, and only that is something which makes sense and which should be communicated and promoted. We have in cities lots of problems just to communicate that tree grow and that tree needs space, and sometimes the tree have roots. And this is sadly even within the industry, because when we speak with landscape architects, with urbanists, sometimes when you see the nice pictures how the situation would look like in future, and then you combine it with the reality, what they have really created in the project in background, the situation is really pretty terrible. And sometimes the numbers are what we are presenting, but the numbers are wrong. We can't plant for numbers. So I'm really pushing you into the logic that the one who has planted 1,000 trees, it's not better arborist than the one who has planted 100 trees. So it's definitely not about the numbers, it's about the quality, it's about the aftercare. And to plant a tree is high responsibility because, again, we plant for our children. So during our career, we will only bring the trees to a certain level, but the final effect will be only for next generation. And you can imagine that trees which I'm showing you now definitely will not serve in future. With these huge numbers, the big problem is the production ability. So at this moment in Czech Republic, every tree of any quality is being sold. So this is one of the examples when we organized a conference and bought just a tree from the market, and when we opened the container, it was total nightmare. And these trees are just regularly being sold. This example is from Barcelona when we had one of the meetings of our European Standards working group, and in front of our hotel when it started blowing. This tree had just uprooted from day to day, and you see that the situation is exactly because of this problem only during the period when the tree is being adapted to the conditions. So quality of planting stock and of course the quality which the client defines by the planting time, it's completely crucial thing as well. And of course, we still deal with quite a lot of problems during the period of tree planting. So for example, here the company just put the tree with the container in the soil and went away, which sometimes you just don't believe your eyes, but that's the situation. Or plant trees above the ground, which enables to water them properly. Or on the vice versa, plant them deeply under the ground, which makes process on the root neck and the dieback of the tree in near future. I can just follow lots of horror shows for you, but one maybe final idea is that the climate change is defined by disrupted water supply. So it's not that the all-over balance of precipitation it's increasing, but the distribution in time is wrong. So what we've been used in past that, okay, it rains, so trees, of course, they need watering, but not that much because the nature will do the job. It's not true anymore. we are getting strong precipitation in short time and then followed by drought. So we just must learn how to water trees properly, which I'm really grateful that many topics here has shown the situation. And this will, of course, cost lots of money, lots of effort, and change of our technologies in both ways, in the excess of water and in the water which is missing. And not to lose much time here, just the final thought is about tree pruning again, because the tree pruning by the planting time is something which really, you can really encounter lots of ideas, lots of different approaches. And some of them increase the necessity of investments in future. So if I prune trees like this, they will survive, but I need to repeat the pruning every year in the, let's say, next 5-10 years maybe, which means that I need 5 times more money to prune the tree than if it would be pruned, let's say, normally. And these approaches to the tree pruning now are intensively to be discussed, and I just can tell you that the difference is really huge if you recalculate it into, let's say, these huge numbers of trees being planted recently. And of course, if the pruning is not being done, it means that we will lose the trees not in 5 years, but in 15-20 years, when all these weak forks and all these problems will start to disintegrate the crowns. So maybe just let's take it like a lesson that numbers are not everything, that trees grow, trees after planting time need management, need control, need our activity. And maybe the most important thought is the responsibility. That we really need to be very clear there that if we plant tree, it's like raise children. We don't need just to produce children. We must raise them to make them working for the future. This is just an example of tree which was planted like a memorable tree in memory of our former president, Václav Havel. And you see that the idea was very good. Enthusiasts put the tree and put all these ratings and memorials around that. But if you see the quality of the tree planting and the tree management, it's really, really sad connection with the history. This tree will definitely not survive a few years. So intentions sometimes are very good, but we need to keep the intentions in harmony with our technologies and with qualification of people who are allowed to plant trees. Thank you for attention.